which leads us well to part 4, the network revolution. In 1967, Arpanet plans were presented, and with a project goal of connecting computers over dial-up telephone lines. In 1968, the Arpanet project solicited proposals, and UCLA was granted the contract to begin development. In 1969, the first Arpanet connections were made via these IMP machines, or interface message processors. The first 4 nodes connected on the network were Stanford's Research Institute, UCLA, UCSB, and the University of Utah. And in the very first attempt to communicate and connect, the system crashed at the letter G of login. In October 29th, 1969, the first successful transmission was made across IMPs within Arpanet. In 1971, Arpanet had increased to 15 nodes, the nodes being a mixture of universities and companies. Imagine the World Wide Web today made up of just 15 connected spaces. This at the time was near unbelievable, but today seems absolutely archaic. What's really interesting, and Bruce Sterling continues talking about in his history of the internet, is how the network was used across these nodes. And he notes, by the second year of operation, 71, an odd fact became clear. Arpanet's users had warped the computer sharing network into a dedicated, high-speed, federally subsidized electronic post office. Researchers were using the network to collaborate on projects, but also to trade notes and eventually gossip and schmooze. In 1976, Queen Elizabeth II sent an email announcing that the Royal Signals and Radar Establishment in Malvern was available and joined the Arpanet system. And at about this time, there were approximately 200,000 computers in use in the U.S., but primarily, again, at military or educational research institutions. In 1980, Arpanet has expanded from 15 nodes to 213 hosts, and a virus shut down Arpanet. Imagine today the entire internet coming to a halt, and what that would mean for all of our electronic systems, from traffic lights to home systems, our water systems, our sewage systems, our banks. Just about everything that we know and experience on a daily basis in the United States would be affected. In 1981, the sleek and sexy Osborne 1 hit the market. The world's first portable computer, weighed in at approximately 27 pounds. In 1983, Time magazine declared the computer the machine of the year. And pause for a moment on this front cover image. So we have a man sitting in a chair. It doesn't look like a desk chair, an office chair as we know them today, nor does the desk look like a desk as we know it today. There's no mouse, of course, because there was no mouse in 1983. He's sitting, head slightly down, shoulders slightly slumped, pushed away from the machine with his hands on his knees. What a fascinating visual relationship being crafted here between the man and the computer. In 1984, the National Science Foundation souped up the Arpanet, and it became NSFNet, and Arpanet eventually collapsed. The domain name system was originally introduced in 84. What we know now is edu, gov, com, org, and more. And this is what the internet looked like in 1989. And if you access the internet via Telnet or TerraTerms or other little applications, this is what you saw, and this is what you navigated. Again, this is pre-mouse, pre-World Wide Web. And that brings us to part 5, the World Wide Web. In 1989, a researcher named Tim Berners-Lee authored and presented a proposal titled Information Management. The proposal was funded, and by 1990, the project has a name, World Wide Web. That same year, the web project launched on an intranet at CERN, the world's largest particle physics laboratory in Geneva, Switzerland. Around the same time, the internet started looking like this. So we've moved from the black screen and white text command line interface to a linear, hierarchical interface where you could tab and hit enter to move across portions of the internet. This view that we see here is through Gopher, an internet access client developed at the University of Minnesota. In 1993, there were approximately 50 hypertext transfer protocol servers in existence, and the first graphical web browser was released. And the web looked a bit like this: default, Times New Roman, black text, typically on a gray background, blue links, purple visited links, and very, very simple but groundbreaking graphical content. In 1994, Mark Anderson, the creator of Mosaic, formed Mosaic Communications, which eventually became Netscape, a leader in internet browser software for years. In 1995, the National Science Foundation backed off and ended sponsorship of the internet backbone. It became less a United States military network and more a network owned across the globe. In 1999, Al Gore took credit for inventing the internet. Well, perhaps. But if we go back to that infamous transcript with Wolf Blitzer and Al Gore on CNN's Late Edition, Gore notes, "During my service in the U.S. Congress, I took the initiative in creating the internet." Whereby he meant, I took the initiative in moving forward a range of initiatives that have allowed the internet to expand. Little bit of cultural lore there. Bruce Sterling argues the internet is a rare example of a true modern functional anarchy. When the NSF backed off, there became no Internet Inc., no official censors, no bosses, no board of directors, no stockholders. And that has huge implications for our teaching, which we'll talk about later and online in our course Angel Space. Through 98, 99, web use and growth boomed. The dot-com era, every company decides it's going to get rich online. Silicon Valley is flooded. My brother, who attended Stanford University, wrote this brief piece on what it was like in Silicon Valley in the middle of the year 1999.